Hello, Infiniteers, and welcome to another episode of Mr. Disfinity. I'm Mr. Disfinity, and I am excited to bring you this special May the 4th episode. This is my first May the 4th episode to be able to bring to you. I'm very excited to do this. I'm very excited to be invited to join all of the different content creators on Disney Infinity in being able to bring this to you. Now, this is perhaps one of my most exciting builds that I've done. Like most of my builds, I don't have any type of logic that is connected with this, and part of that for in this case with this build, as you'll be able to see as we do a flyover and everything like that, is that this is such a massive build that I barely have room for anything. I was going to even add in some, you can see there's nobody wandering around the toy box, and I was going to add in some different characters, townspersons and things like that. And it just, I'm getting dangerously close to overfilling my toy box. And so I don't have that. I am leaving a little bit of space for just a couple of other ideas that I might have down in the future. But some of you, you probably have already read it in the description of the video, but some of you, in looking at it, may actually be somewhat familiar with this view. Because today I am going to bring you to Black Spire Outpost on the planet of Batuu, also known as Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland and Disney World. I when I first created this toy box, I used just a map of Galaxy's Edge. I had never been there. And I used a map and created what I could tell from that map that I found online that is put out by Disney, and used that and did what I could with it. And after some fortuitous opportunities, I actually was able to go just a month ago to Galaxy's Edge and be able to visit there at what they call Galaxy's Edge West at Disneyland. So some of this is now gone through, and I went through, and there was one major area that I had to completely redo. Some of it I tweaked a little bit, and I'll talk about it as we go
Okay,
through.
enough standing around.
Okay, Ray, you've said it. We'll stop standing around and we'll take Ray on a tour through Galaxy's Edge. And I hope you enjoy this. As much as I've enjoyed creating it, I will definitely talk to you about all of the different things that I've added to this, the different ways that I went through and put in some of the textures, some of the things that I've learned along the way. But I've really enjoyed doing this, and I'm so thrilled and so excited to bring this to you. So looking at it first, just as you can see, the ground. I love how this ground works perfectly. The terrain works perfectly with Galaxy's Edge. There's track marks, things like that. This is the Wally um, terrain. And if you don't have Wally terrain, I would suggest maybe the Desert Landscapes one, potentially, or maybe Dusty Crop Hopper might work. Um, some of those might be some really good ones you might want to do. But this has just been a fabulous build. I've enjoyed doing it. The one thing you can see right here that I realized shortly after coming back from Galaxy's Edge is some of these areas are just a little too big. They're just open spaces. Where Galaxy's Edge, when you're there, is a lot closer together. And I tried to create that as we go around this building here. You'll see that. But as I tried moving some things up, I just was so far into the build already that I did what I could just to kind of change that up and just kind of keep things the same with the overall area. Right here is not Droid Depot, excuse me, the Black Spire Station, and we have a lot of different elements that are there. This in the lore, I've done a lot more of reading up on. There's some books about Black Spire Outpost and things like that. There is an individual named Salju, who is the chief mechanic in Black Spire Outpost, and this right here is Salju's area. That is one of the fun little areas that you can go. right here is Droid Depot. I didn't have enough space to be able to put anything into Droid Depot, so I just created it, made it a space that you could walk into and then turn right back out around it. But this is where, if you're in Disneyland or Disney World, you can actually build your own small little droid that you can take home with you for the right price, the right credits, of course, or as they call it on Black Spire Outpost, the right Spira. So, and I should have started by saying the greeting that they say on Black Spire Outpost, and that is Bright Suns. And I hope that we enjoy this journey here through this. As we go through this way, there is in Black Spire Outpost a few different droids that are just kind of standing there. These are a little more interactive than the ones at Black Spire Outpost, but I've decided to put those in. Walking through, you come out into the one spot. Now, the lore of Black Spire Outpost is that the First Order has decided to start coming into Black Spire Outpost and setting up shop because they hear that there are resistance cells here. And this right here is where Kylo Ren's ship is during Black Spire, and when you go there at Disneyland, when you go to Galaxy's Edge. So I just took and put a Darth Vader TIE Fighter there and created some of the depth that is there, putting a couple of other different things there. Now, at Disneyland, there is an exit right here that you would kind of go through. But I only wanted to keep just one entrance and exit to mine. And so I just kind of kept that just like that and didn't go any further with it. But using the where you can take a trigger area, you can see what I did right there is put that trigger area in and then just layered a piece and put iron rivets for it. So that's my take on that portion. Now as you come around, you make it to one of my favorite spots of Black Spire Outpost. Now I originally had put a whole lot more things into this one. This is Oga's Cantina, and I had a whole lot more things in here. I had even tried to put a Rex droid in here, and it just didn't quite work like I wanted it to. And there also I needed a little bit more of the space, so I had to pare it down and make it a little bit smaller. But this is really fun. If you ever go to Black Spire Outpost, make sure you get an opportunity to go into Oga's Cantina. It's just a fun little spot to be, a fun little place to go when you're there. But I thought I'd give it a little bit of Cantina vibes by putting in the droid pieces of the droid detectors. This right here is actually, I didn't realize where Black Spire was, but this is Black Spire. That's right on the other side of all of this one big building that's over here. So I decided to put that in again using I use the scalable barrier blocks, but I know that there are a lot of others who use the trigger areas. It does the exact same thing where you can create that trigger area, put it in there, and then put some pieces down, and then you can put others and layer them over the top without the bounding box being in the way. And with this one, part of the reason I used this is the Dombrach. I don't remember what it's exactly called, but it is the one that is for Brave, for Merida. And I did that because one of the lore with Black Spire Outpost is that there is golden lichen that is growing everywhere. And so I wanted to make sure I got some of that part of golden lichen and make the effect of the golden colors in the spire. And so that's why I specifically used that to texture it. There's another spot, just kind of, there's an archway that you can see. I'm going to hold off in going to that way. I'm going to come back around the other way just so that we can do the due diligence of the direction of what I want to get on this other side. So we'll come back through the Droid Depot. For those who are familiar with it, there is the milk shop, the milk stand right here. But I really, didn't have space, and I didn't know what I would use for that milk stand, for the blue milk. But that's where you can buy blue milk when you're in Black Spire Outpost. And coming around, we had the Droid Depot. This part right here, I just kind of built in because I needed a space filler, and I needed something to kind of direct attention around, because I wanted to go down to Savvy's Workshop. Now, Savvy's Workshop is where you go to build a lightsaber. One of the cool things with the lore of Black Spire Outpost is Savvy and his gatherers go around the galaxy looking for various types of lightsaber parts in ruins and in various places. They go and pick these up. And so you can go into this area and you can build a lightsaber. I just took the Ultron arms, I took some kiln pieces and put those just all over everywhere. And it kind of gives the look right there of maybe being some kyber crystals there. And you don't ever come out the same way you go in. When I went and built my lightsaber with my daughter, we decided to come, we went right back out. The direction is just a little bit different, but we came out in a different location, and then you go up the stairs, and there you are right over by Ronto Roasters. We're going to go into Ronto Roasters in just a moment here, but first we're going to swing over to, this is Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities, and I wanted to be able to get as much things in here that were unique and looking and things like that, and I just kind of couldn't find too many things in the interior that I really liked to be able to get that wouldn't take up too much space. So I grabbed a couple of different things, and one of the things I wanted to make sure of is that I had the Tauntaun head, because there is a Tauntaun head in Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities. So I made sure to put that in there. But this is Doc Ondar's. I could add a couple more different things to it if I really wanted to. One of the things that I really enjoyed when making this that I kind of discovered is sometimes you don't have the right size dome, and I don't know how to be able to create the domes. I didn't know at the time. I'm going to bring Ray up here so that I can show you, though. I'm going to hopefully bring Ray over here so I can show you. There we go. One of the things you can do, though, in creating a dome, that's kind of doing a weird coloration on me, is to take a piece, and let me highlight it for you. Hopefully that won't cause a problem. I don't think it will. I don't think anything else is attached to it. But you can take the piece that is a terrain ramp corner hill, and you can put that, and you can put 4 of them together, or like I did in this case, you can take and add another ramp right next to it and give it a little bit more depth and give it a little bit more, as you can see, as Ray goes up to the top, then I just added just another little square. And then I just used, there are a couple of different textures you can use on that. This is the kiln texture, but you can also use, to get the metallic ones, you could use Calhoun's Command. You could also use the Star-Lord's Galaxy one. And I believe there's one other one that could be used. I guess Dusty Crophopper could be as well. But this gives you a nice texture with metal without feeling like you have to be limited to the small dome like you see this dome that's right over here with it. So I really, really loved being able to put that together. And when I discovered that I could do that with that piece, it just made it all the more fun. Now, one of the things that, and some of you who have been to Black Spire know where we're headed right now, but one of the things that I really was disappointed in with the Toybox is that the Millennium Falcon is just way too small. And so I had to build my own Millennium Falcon from scratch. I did the best I could with it. I think it didn't turn out too bad, but ladies and gentlemen, there is the Millennium Falcon. It could be even just a little bit bigger if I wanted to, but I kind of had it backed up a little bit against, I'll walk around here, against this back side where Smuggler's Run is. I did like how the back end turned out. What I used for the back end is, you might recognize it, it's the piece that is in the, and we will go to it so that you can see where it is. It is the piece in group 5 that is with the, ooh, we're going way too big now. Right there. The Nomanasan Walkway intersection is the piece that got used for it. I think it turned out really, really nice on the back. It was a clever way to be able to do that. To give credit where credit's due, I have started using this a lot ever since seeing that Brown Bats build when he did the Coruscant build. I just enjoyed the way that it glows, and thought about using it for this Millennium Falcon build. Um, if I were to build the Falcon just a little bit bigger, I probably would put two of those together, one next to the other, and do the Falcon build. We'll come by and do a sweep of it, so you can kind of see what I did with the Millennium Falcon. But I did what I could, and I don't think it turned out too bad. And like I say, we'll come and do another sweep of it in just a moment. Creating just that docking bay 9, I believe, is what that one over there is called. I was wanting to put another thing up there. I probably could have of putting a ship. If I would have put another ship up there, which again I'm running out of space, so I don't know if I would fully, but I can show you which one I would use. I would probably either use the T-16 Skyhopper and move it over into place, which would have been right there. I would have tried to see if there's space there, which there is. Either the Skyhopper or the passenger, which I don't think would fit. Yeah, there. In fact, yeah, why not? You can see how much space I am taking up, and there is not very much space left. But I'm going to put the Skyhopper there because I think that looks kind of cool. Glad I thought of that. So, coming up into Ronto Roasters. Now, here's the thing with Ronto Roasters. I wanted Ronto Roasters something that would be the big dome that you see when you look at pictures of Black Spire Outpost, but I didn't know exactly how to get this done. And I started this build about a year ago. So I took and found, this is on Carplut's space. Now, you would normally, if you're in Black Spire Outpost, there's a big jet engine or whatever combustion engine right there in the middle. So I took and threw a couple of them in there. If I had wanted to set it up, I could probably have those going, the flames going on those two engines that you can see right there that are from, you get those from Marvel Battlegrounds, and you can unlock those in Marvel Battlegrounds. But regardless, there's not a lot of space under here, and I wanted to be able to create an opportunity to just kind of add the view and the feel of what was going on. I think it turned out really, really well. There's your roasting stuff for the Ronto Roasters portion. But I think it turned out well considering, all things considered. I put up a couple of barriers there just to kind of give it a spot for individuals. But again, a lot of trial and error on this with finding where pieces could go. Had another spot right there that we could go down, but also having it lifted up just a little bit more so, and using again those barrier pieces or the barrier blocks or the trigger area. Now as you come down through here, so again, if you're in the real place, you don't go up and back down again. There is a slight bit of an incline right there, but not nearly the incline that's there. So I think it turned out rather nicely with that. I just wanted to give the feel of there being shops here, so I used a couple of things from Agrabah, a gaming area because this is where Toydarian Toys is, so I used a couple of Dejaric hollow chest tables for that. I wanted to be able to add, again, a couple of little critters because right over here is where the critter shop is, the creature shop, but you can see I just liked using the combination of things from Tatooine and then also adding a bunch of other things with it as well. I did originally have a bunch of wires that were going through here, but again, just ran out of space to be able to use it, and it just, by the time I fit in all of the lanterns, nothing else seemed to work there. So that's fine. All's fine and good with that. I just had that opportunity to go through there and just kind of make it look the best I could. The other thing that helped me also was a POV video that I found on YouTube to be able to do all of that. So you can see the back side of those where I added just a little bit of the metal going through it. I can't tell you enough how much those trigger areas really do help in this. You can see where they kind of go through. And there are only certain blocks that work on the trigger areas. Others won't. And you just kind of have to play with it and see what you can get. Again, just another area right here that's a little too big for the space that we have, but it still ended up fine. Oh, I didn't. I also didn't when we were back there. I can kind of show you. I had the space, kind of. You can see where you normally would go for Smuggler's Run, but didn't have a very much for the ride for being able to go on to Smuggler's Run and what that looks like. There's an X-wing there, and down here further, there's an A-wing. Um, the thing with the X-wing and the A-wing is there is no A-wing in the toy box, and so I just used a Jedi Starfighter, which looks very similar to an A-wing. So I just moved it over there, and one of my most favorite pictures that I took when I was there for me was of that A-wing. Oh, um, I'll put it in the comments too. I would strongly recommend that while you're building this or while you're kind of having fun in this, that you go to, there's a Spotify channel that I will put on here to be able to listen to. It's called Galaxy's Edge and Beyond. That is really kind of nice with the in-universe music. It's kind of just a fun Spotify playlist to be able to listen to in-universe music while you're at that. This was a really cool find to be able to make sure that we had this piece here that's from Jakku, but it also looks very similar to the piece that's there as you get ready to go into um, the Rise of the Resistance ride. And that's actually what this is to represent and replicate a little bit of the queue. I was really impressed. I had created some caverns just because it's kind of one of those fun things that I like to do. You've seen me do that. I did that on my Marvel 10 Rings compound. And I like just kind of creating these little caverns back behind in hidden areas. But not only with them coming through the walls, but when you style it. But it just was a really fun thing. And I thought, wow, I already have this. I'm taking advantage of it. So the kiln crates are some of the best ones to be able to use to kind of give that idea that the resistance is setting up. One of my favorite parts, if you've been to Rise of the Resistance and have sat in the queue, there is waterfalls that are right nearby, and you can you go through the backside of water. Yeah, kind of similar to the Jungle Cruise, but I created it to where we actually had that opportunity here to be able to see the backside of the waterfall, and it's very much a nod to the Rise of the Resistance ride, or the queue for Rise of the Resistance. And there is one person who did not end up getting deleted when I put everything in, so she gets to go wander around in here. All right. This spot right here, not to spoil too much for anyone, this spot right here is intended to be the place where you go and hop on during Rise of the Resistance. You hop on to the ride, the shuttle that takes you up towards helping out the Resistance. And then over here would be where Poe Dameron's X-Wing is as you are standing in that queue and going and getting on board. I didn't have enough space for that. I tried unlocking Poe Dameron's X-Wing and have had a technical snafu, a technical difficulty with it. So I wasn't able to put it in there. I am just so close to being able to unlock it. You have to undo everything from the Force Awakens playset, and I have not yet quite gotten all of the stars in Force Awakens. And last night my daughter was helping me do the unlocking, and we thought we unlocked one and it didn't show up as being unlocked, so we have no idea if we're even ever going to get Poe Dameron's X-Wing. So this is the rest of the Resistance base that's hiding back here in the rocks. Again, I made it probably a little bigger than I needed to, but I love kind of how it turned out with all of the different pieces. My daughter and I were there together. She's did not mean to do that. She's a teenager, and together we were able to get a picture taken with one of those. It was just a fun time when we were there. And this is kind of, if you've ridden Rise of the Resistance, this is kind of where you exit the queue and exit the ride. So that's everything that I have for what this looks like. I'm going to do a bird's eye view here. So I'm going to take it up. Also, really quickly, all of the plants. Some of the best ways to be able to make this come alive is the plants. Now you can see I have off in the distance there, I do have one of the Briar Enchanted Forest, I forget what it's called, but the one from Sleeping Beauty. But most of the ones that I really liked was the jungle feel. So I'm using the Forgotten World. It's not Lost World. Um, anyway, the terrain and the plants from the dinosaur theme. That's one of the better ones that I like. You could also, like I said, you can do. Oh, there's another one that's off in the distance there. That's also one of those from the Sleeping Beauty style. But the part that is the best to make sure you are putting, and you probably have seen them everywhere that I have here. They are one of my favorites. When I was originally building all of this, it was seemed kind of dead. And the moment I started putting each of those in, that's the, it's the evokes one. I can show it to you. I'll bring up the plants for you so you can see it. It's the Fantasy Terrain one. Making sure, yeah. Fantasy Terrain one, and in the drawer, the plants, the styling, you go over to Indoor Terrain, and that's the one. It is an amazing one. I love it so much. I love using it. And then I occasionally will use the pirate one if I want something a little bit longer. So let's take you over really quickly, and we'll start right here so you can kind of see. This is the entrance that I created. It is kind of that little tunnel to be able to enter in to Galaxy's Edge. I'm using a lot of combination of the pieces that are Tatooine pieces, and using those in combination with other pieces from the Blocks drawer. And that's what all of these are, things from the Blocks drawer and things out of the Blocks drawer. The piece that I use right here is the arch. And now some of you may look at that and go, wait a minute, I thought the arch was 3 blocks high. How is that arch 2 blocks high? If you look at it, and you can kind of see it goes down. There we go. That's a good way to look at it. It goes down and into the terrain. And the only way you can get that to work is you have to set the arch block first. Then, and also you have to have the trigger area. You put down the trigger area, you set the terrain piece where you want it, and not the terrain piece, the arch block where you want it, and pull the terrain piece up to meet it. And when you do that, that's kind of the effect you get. It creates a nicer, shorter arch that I really love. Again, I don't take personal credit for that. I learned that one from watching the Jabba the Hutt, Jabba's Palace video that Brown Bat did some years ago, and I really enjoy that. But it is kind of nice to be able to take and add those trigger areas and put blocks all the way up to the sides of pieces, so that it just kind of gives you that feel that they continue on, so you don't have the spaces in between buildings. That's kind of created a nice little effect. I did a similar thing over here with all of these, in being able to just keep the pieces, keep the continuity with it. So that's what I have going over with that. I did the similar thing. I was going to actually, I'm not sure how I was going to do the piece there, but wanted the Black Spire to be similar, of going kind of being the building being built around Black Spire. So there's those portions kind of going around. Right here I use the desert theme. This is the desert landscapes theme. And one of the things that you got to do with Batuu when you're creating Batuu is to create all of these different peaks and have the different peaks that are around everywhere. One of the cool parts that I was able to do in one of the peaks right here, you can see again using the piece, oh my goodness, drawing a blank. Sorry about that. The trigger area, and pulling it down into the larger cliff area there. I wanted to get a little bit of difference in colors, so I added that. What part of it was, as I originally had thought that this was the Black Spire, so I was making it a darker piece. The same thing happens with this. This piece here, the 2 docking bay pieces, you just put those down first, then do the trigger area. And once you've done the trigger area, then kind of move and see how far you can get terrain pieces to go in. The cliffs will sometimes fit in. And a lot, again, I cannot emphasize enough, trial and error. This is the entry area, more or less, for what would be the entry area for Smuggler's ride, if you were doing the Smuggler's Run. Now let's talk a little bit about what I did. You can see right here there is I did a path creator and attached most of this right here to the path creator. There's another path creator kind of in the guts of the Millennium Falcon. And I just kind of worked it around until I saw what kind of felt right, what looked right. I used that same trick of the what I had done over on the not Oga's Cantina, excuse me, the Den of Antiquities, Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities. I did the same thing here in putting pieces in, finding what would fit, finding where it would fit, being able to do the same thing of putting the dish on top of the pieces, and just kind of took and played around with what I could from the pieces. It's not perfect. It's not the most ideal, but boy, it sure beats the small little dinky Millennium Falcon that we have in the flying vehicles drawer. I just added a couple of other pieces on here just to kind of give it a little bit more of a feel, just to kind of give it that hangar type feel. Over this way I did a similar thing with the hangers and took other pieces around. I hope I'm not going too fast. If anybody wants to take some screenshots and take a look at just kind of the way that this ended up. This piece right here is a piece from the Death Star floor piece. I can pull it up because it's not attached to anything. The Death Star floor detail A. It just kind of gives an opening hatch look to it. I don't think it would have gone down. Yeah, if you brought it down, it would have gone too far underneath. So it just kind of has to sit on top there. It doesn't look too bad. Kind of helps give a little bit more texture to the top of the Millennium Falcon. The texture that I used for the terrain is Dusty Crop Hopper. The texture that I used for blocks is the Coruscant Metal. The one that looks kind of bluish when you look at it in the drawer. But it kind of turns out to be a nice gray. I would have liked it to be something else, but I just kind of kept looking at it and thought, no, this has got to be the one. And then for the window, those who saw my Ahsoka one, I used a completely different window for Ahsoka's ship. And I used the Tron one for that. But I looked at this and I thought, wow, this kind of gives it a nice feel. This is the crystal one. It is we can go over and I can show it to you. Yeah, it's crystal. Or, nope, it's frozen. I apologize. It wasn't crystal. It's frozen. And just kind of gives that nice little translucent feel to it. So I really enjoyed that. I put that down as a last-minute addition. I probably, if I were doing it again, would probably move it over and put a couple of other pieces around it, kind of like what I did over here, just adding some pieces with the trigger area. Right here, there's a lot of pieces, again, that are matching with I used the trigger area for it. I like really how that arch turned out. Oh, yeah. So you can kind of see, it looks like, with this piece, when you look at it, it almost looks like, you can't really tell, but as you get closer to it, you can see that it's actually a piece of Unkar Plutz that just kind of makes that gray piece, that gray band right in the middle, which worked really, really well. I also did just a bunch of, again, similar. I did the same thing here. Trigger areas. Again, trigger areas, trigger areas, trigger areas. That's the biggest story with being able to create this. It is, like I said before, it's one of my biggest toy boxes that I've done. It's one of my favorite toy boxes that I've done. I love all of the different small little details that have gotten put in. You can't create this without continuing to put in a whole bunch of the freighter, the containment crates, without putting in without putting in a whole bunch of the kiln pieces, as well as one of my other favorites that ended up being a nice favorite for this, which was the freighter containment tank. So we'll kind of come around this way too, just to kind of see. I used some Tatooine walls right there to give it just that feel, and also to keep it separate. If I ever end up being able to put in a transport of some sort, the transport, you might want to be thinking, well, maybe why couldn't we put in the transport? The simple answer for that one is a transport is way too big for this. We would not be able to get. Oh, I went the wrong way. We would not be able to get a transport vessel from the set pieces into this spot. It's just too massive, way too massive. So that's why I didn't go with that. But putting in the rocks, the Wakandan rocks, kind of gives a nice little feel for that pond, that little pool that's there. And it's not really that big of a pool when you are seeing it at the Galaxy's Edge, but it just kind of creates a nice little feel there of that oasis area, the ruins and everything like that that are mentioned as part of Galaxy's Edge lore. So this is my my toy box. This is the essence of the Force, the season of the Force. I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope that you are able to recreate this in some way, shape, or form. And if you do, please let me know about it. I would love to be able to see what kind of improvements you have made on it, what kinds of things that you were able to take from some of the suggestions that I gave. This is such a fun toy box. I am going to try to figure out, and this is going to be an ongoing thing, that I'm going to try to figure out ways that I can take my toy box and make it even better with this one. Perhaps finding a few things that I can remove, so then I can bring in a couple of other things as well, and just make this just all the more enjoyable to the player, to be able to come in, maybe fight some First Order stormtroopers, maybe being able to run around on a speeder bike. Who knows? But this is the. I hope you enjoy everything else that you see in this, in all of the other toy boxes that are showcased on May the 4th. May the Force be with you. And as they say in Batu, till the Spire.